Good morning. I'm Gary Metro. I'm the editor of the Southern Illinoisan. This is a meeting of the Southern Illinoisan Editorial Board. And today with us we have a candidate for the office of Mayor of Marion. Let me turn to the candidate and he'll introduce himself.
Thanks, Gary. My name's Bob Owens, running for Mayor of Marion. I've lived in Marion for 40 plus years, raised my family there. Thank goodness all of my family's able to live within 5 miles of my house. I have 3 boys. My oldest son works for the federal government. My middle son owns his own business. And my youngest son works for the state government. So to say the least, we have a lot of exposure to the way government is run today.
Thanks, Bob. Also with us today we have on the panel
Mark Fitton, managing editor.
Rob Crow, local news editor.
Now, Bob, we've known each other for a few years, and you're already an elected official, and now you're seeking the top job in Marion. Tell us why you're running for it, and why not just let Bob Butler go to another term? Why are you opposing him?
Yeah. Well, I think I offer a lot to the city of Marion that in running the business. When Bob started it, Bob's been an excellent mayor over the years, and he started at a time when the city was broke and had nothing, and he was able to operate within and pretty conservative, and things have changed. Well, as things change, just like in your business, it's a continuing change to keep the business going the way it should go. You've seen just like the closing of your Marion office in order to make the bottom line. Well, in Marion, we have 170 employees that work for the city now, 170 plus. We run a budget. We just signed off on it, on $40 million budget. It's no small business, you know, just compare it to what the Southern is and the type of business it is. Well, over the years, as operating it, it's changed so much, and I think it's kind of outgrown some of the people in Marion. Just for an example, we have no time clocks for the 170 employees. It's all on the honor system, and I mean just things like that that I can change and bring to the table. And I wasn't going to run for office at all. I'd made up my mind that I was going to leave government after 2.5 years because of the way government operates. I just was unhappy putting my name on things that I didn't feel comfortable with, and not knowing about things that time it got to the table, I just had 15 minutes to think about it and make decisions. And I don't do business that way. I'm sorry on it. That's just not the way I see it. So I was getting out of politics altogether. I'm 64 years old, and I was uncomfortable with it. And Lanny Gribble is leaving the council for the same reason. He's uncomfortable with it, and he's getting away. And the guys who I have helped elect me, that got out and walked the street when I ran for council, come to me and said, "Bob, if you're not going to run for council again, we're asking you to run for mayor." And I said, "Well, I got to think about that." And that's why I'm last on the ballot, because to make a commitment like this and to do what's got to be done, I've got to go back to work 60 hours a week. Gary, I haven't worked 60 hours a week since I was 40 years old. I mean, I like fishing and I like running my bird dog. I got a turkey permit for the week of the election. I mean, that's things I like to do, and I love my grandkids, and I'm hunting with one of them on a youth hunt this weekend. But there's just a lot of things that need to be addressed in Marion. I mean, all the way from managing the star bonds, which is an opportunity that's unbelievable, to the new hub tip, to the lawsuits that we're involved in. I can just go on and on. I mean, just name one right after another if we want to talk about individual ones. But I just think I bring to Marion the ability to run a good operation. I'll give you an example. The water department and the sewer department. When I come to the city council, the first thing they handed me was the numbers on those 2 departments and asked me to review them. Well, I've done budgeting all my life, and when I got to looking at those numbers, I asked them why the water number was going down. I mean, I've never been in politics, but just living in Marion, I knew the population was growing, business was growing, and everything. And everybody looked at one another, and nobody could explain it to me. And so what took place after that, I asked a lot of questions, and I couldn't get good answers, and the city was pumping in out of the general fund $300,000 to $400,000 a year to keep those two departments in the black. Today, right today, these departments are both have positive numbers. They have only taken from the general fund $6,000 that were set aside for radios through the FEMA disaster and all that. So we moved that over to them, both of them. So that's $12,000. We will show about a $500,000 turnaround in the water and sewer department. The sewer department will make its capital expenditures this year for trucks and things like that paying cash, not charging them like most towns do. Now, we're growing the cash flow without raising the rates by simply collecting what's due us, what they're supposed to be paying. And these things don't just happen. You got to get in, you got to understand them. Well, like yesterday, we had a demonstration and to buy a new camera for the sewer department. And they said, well, why are we buying a new camera? Well, we're getting ready to spend over $100,000 for a camera to look down sewer lines. But also, it's GPS. We will know where all the laterals are. We'll know how deep they are. We'll know how the lines look. We'll know the size. So that when you have like Clearwave coming to town to run the high-speed internet through town, the highway that is getting ready to be run, we can give them a CD. They will know off satellite where we're at. When they go boring, all of a sudden they don't bore through our lines anymore. Well, that's just a good business practice. If you the things that are crowded, the ground is so crowded today. When we go to dig, it's just a nightmare. And so what I bring is the business side of how to manage a business, a $40 million business.
Now, Bob, you mentioned something early in your presentation, and thanks very much for explaining your candidacy, where you're sickened or tired of seeing something 15 minutes before you have to vote on it. The first time you ever see it is 15 minutes before you vote. Well, give us some examples of things like that.
Okay, I'll give you a good one. You documented in your newspaper. If you go back to the lawsuit on the landfill in Marion, the mayor brought it to us, held it close to his chest, told the council in open council meeting that's in your paper, reported. John Holman was a reporter at that time, and I was reviewing some of my notes the other night on things, just what you asked, and I run into this again. And the mayor told us in open session, he said, we've set this up and the residents of Cocopelli is going to pay for 50% of the attorney fees. So we said, okay, we'll all support it. We voted for it, supported it. I went back the next morning and said, I'd like to read through that document myself. I read through it, nowhere in it did it say they'd pay 50% of the attorney fees. I went to the mayor, asked him. I went to Johnny Goss and asked him. Johnny said, well, his intentions are good. He meant good. It'll be okay. Bob said, yeah, they're going to pay 50%. Well, it was untrue. They never paid 50%. They never did.
They pay anything?
20,000, or I don't remember. They paid something towards it, but it wasn't what the mayor told us was agreed to.
Could you guess at the percentage that it was?
Don't recall, Gary. I'd have to go back and dig it up.
Nowhere approaching 50% or
no, it was some number. They just paid what they had.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, it wasn't. It's not that money. The problem is in government, you gotta be able to operate out of trust. that all the information you're getting is good information. And I'm sorry, I just don't get that feeling. And after that, I stopped anything that we don't have the Friday before the meeting, we don't vote on. It has to be a real exception, something that has went on, and because you just can't. Well, another good example, they brought the high-speed internet. They wanted easements for everything in town, just a general easement. And it was in the deal, and Bob brought it up and was ready to vote on it. Well, you can't do that. I mean, it's complicated. In running the sewer department, I know what it's like for our guys to, whatever's in the ground, and all these things have to have thought, and we got to know what we're doing on it. And you can't operate shoot from the hip and the good old boy deal anymore. We're well beyond that. If you're going to stay a good, healthy, viable city.
Commissioner, I can't help but wonder, for a city of Marion size, is the commission form still viable? 5 people, it seems like a lot of responsibility in the hands of 4 commissioners and 1 mayor.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things we need to study and look at. The best thing that happens in business is stability. Bob has brought stability because of the length of time he's been there. That's worth a ton to have that stability. From now forward, we've got the possibilities of having total new government every 4 years. Commission form of government is really in the minority in the state of Illinois. To elect a person who can run the street department, which commission form of government, the commissioner in that department is responsible for the department, that has the knowledge and the background to do that, pretty difficult. I mean, it's like down at the sewer department. I've got a plumbing background. So luckily, I was able to understand and knew quite a bit about the city sewer system on it. Well, here you've got a 100-year-old system, decaying, and I told the guys, I said, we got to budget $250,000 a year to start redoing this right now. I mean, and we'll be putting $250,000 in maintenance probably for the next 20 years to try to make a dent in it. And so you're right, it's tough, and that's one of the things that I think to have to run a business, a $40 million business, you got to have professional people running it. I mean, it's just no different than the newspaper, no different than any other business in Southern Illinois.
What do you think about, Marion has grown incredibly. I came back after 20 years away and was stunned, especially along the 13 corridor. Does it need to amp up its zoning?
I'm sorry?
Does it need to improve its zoning efforts?
We have a review, as most people know, the state of Illinois has got a bill passed that as of July, if you don't have the zoning and the things in place, the state takes over that job for you. We are looking at international codes on it. I got a book laying on my desk right now, and I've been asking for this for some time. There's no question you've got to have standards that you live by and is built by. We now have each department head signing off on subdivision plans, whether we accept them based on how the sewer's put in and how the streets are built. We're starting to move that way on it. That type of thinking is tough because, well, I'll give you a good example. We're getting ready to spend, if the residents want it, about $1.3 million, $3.6 million for sewer extension out on the northeast side, where we've taken in over the years all those subdivisions with no sewers in them. Sewers are normally put in subdivisions, and the water lines and everything, that becomes part of your cost of your lot. Well, now here we are faced with it. We're offering it to them. We were able to get through the EPA 1.25% financing